Imagine for a moment that everything you struggle with, every fear, every self-doubt isn't merely an obstacle to overcome, but a map leading you to your true purpose. Think about it. What if the key to understanding who you are and what you're meant to do lies in the very parts of yourself that you've tried to ignore, suppress, or deny today? We'll explore one of the most transformative concepts in the realm of psychology and philosophy: Carl Jung's theory of the shadow. This isn't just about theory or abstract ideas. It's about uncovering profound truths that can reshape your life. By the end of this journey, you'll not only understand your shadow, but also discover how it holds the secret to your purpose, your potential, and your freedom. The final revelation we'll uncover is perhaps the most powerful and life-changing of all. Carl Jung, a pioneer of depth psychology, believed that the shadow is the unconscious part of ourselves that we reject or disown. It consists of all the traits, desires, and aspects of our personality that we consider unacceptable or shameful. Yet paradoxically, this very shadow contains the seeds of our greatest strengths and the blueprint for a fulfilling life. Think about it. How often do we avoid certain thoughts or behaviors because they make us uncomfortable? How often do we judge others for traits we secretly recognize in ourselves? If you've ever caught yourself reacting strongly to someone else's actions, there's a good chance it's because they've touched a part of your own shadow. Jung himself once wrote, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." The shadow isn't just about darkness. It's about potential. It's about the energy we bury because we're too afraid or ashamed to face it. Take a moment to reflect on your own life. Are there parts of yourself that you try to keep hidden from others or even from yourself? Perhaps it's a fear of failure, a deep-seated anger, or persistent envy. Maybe it's a passion or desire you've convinced yourself is impractical or wrong. What if these aspects of yourself weren't flaws to be eradicated, but messages waiting to be understood? Carl Jung believed that by confronting our shadow, we can integrate it into our conscious awareness, leading to what he called individuation, a process of becoming whole. This isn't easy. It requires courage, honesty, and a willingness to step into the unknown. But the rewards are immeasurable. Jung described individuation as the journey of discovering who you truly are. Not just the persona you show to the world, but the complete and authentic self that includes both light and shadow. He argued that our greatest growth comes not from rejecting our shadow, but from embracing it. Consider this: every hero in mythology faces a moment of confrontation with their own darkness. Think of the Greek hero Hercules, who had to face not only external monsters, but also his own rage and flaws. Luke Skywalker in Star Wars, who had to confront the darkness within himself before he could truly become a Jedi. These stories mirror our own psychological journeys. The question is, are you willing to take that first step? Are you ready to look at the parts of yourself you've been running from and ask, what are you trying to teach me? Jung's philosophy teaches us that our shadow isn't an enemy, but a guide. It whispers to us through our dreams, our fears, and even our relationships. Have you ever had a recurring dream or felt an inexplicable pull toward a particular idea or person? These may be the signs of your shadow, trying to communicate the process of working with your awareness. Let's take this concept further by exploring how the shadow relates to our purpose. Often, the parts of ourselves we suppress are closely tied to our unique gifts and passions. For example, someone who suppresses their creativity out of fear of failure may find that embracing this suppressed side leads them to their life's work. You believe that purpose isn't something we find externally. It's something we uncover internally. It's about aligning with our authentic self, which includes both the light and the shadow. In his words, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. But how do we begin this process of alignment? It starts with self-inquiry. Ask yourself questions that challenge your assumptions about who you are. What do I fear most about myself? What have I been told is unacceptable about me? What passions or dreams have I abandoned because they felt impractical or unworthy? Write these down, reflect on them. You might be surprised at what emerges when you give your shadow a voice. Another same way, you can't integrate your shadow until you recognize its presence. A practical way to begin this practice is by paying attention to your emotional triggers. The next time you feel a strong reaction, whether it's anger, fear, or even excessive admiration, pause and ask yourself, why am I reacting this way? What does this situation reveal about me? Is there a part of myself I'm projecting onto this person or event, for example? If you find yourself irritated by someone who seems overly confident, consider whether this irritation stems from a part of yourself that feels insecure, or perhaps their confidence reminds you of a trait you've suppressed your own desire to step into the spotlight. This process of self-inquiry can feel uncomfortable at first. It's tempting to retreat into blame or defensiveness, but remember, the goal isn't to criticize yourself, it's to understand yourself. Each trigger is a doorway to deeper self-awareness. Once you've identified aspects of your shadow, the next step is dialogue. Jung often encouraged his patients to engage with their shadow as if it were a separate entity. This might sound unusual, but it's a way of externalizing and understanding these hidden parts. Imagine sitting across from your shadow and asking it questions. Why do you feel this way? What are you trying to protect me from? What do you need from me to feel acknowledged? This dialogue can be done through journaling, meditation, or visualization. The goal is to create a space where your shadow feels seen and heard. Remember, your shadow isn't your enemy. It's a part of you that has been trying in its own flawed way to protect or guide you. For many, this process leads to surprising revelations. You may discover that a fear you've carried for years stems from a childhood experience, or that a trait you've suppressed is actually a strength waiting to be unleashed. Now let's explore how this integration impacts your relationships. The shadow doesn't just influence your inner world, it shapes how you interact with others. Often, unresolved aspects of your shadow manifest as conflict or tension in relationships. Have you ever been in a situation where you repeatedly clash with someone over the same issue? Or perhaps you've noticed patterns in your relationships, like attracting the same type of partner or facing similar challenges. I Love You, Jung believed that relationships act as mirrors reflecting our unconscious back to us. When you feel triggered by someone, it's often because they embody a trait or behavior that resonates with your own shadow. By becoming aware of this dynamic, you can transform conflict into growth instead of blaming or resenting the other person. Ask yourself, what is this situation teaching me about myself? This shift in perspective not only deepens your self-awareness, but also fosters compassion and understanding. Let's take this idea further. How can embracing your shadow enhance your creativity and purpose? Jung argued that the shadow isn't just a container for negative traits, it's also the source of untapped potential. The energy you use to suppress your shadow can be redirected into creative pursuits. For example, a suppressed anger might become a driving force for advocacy or social change. A hidden desire for attention could fuel artistic expression or public speaking. When you integrate your shadow, you reclaim the energy that was once spent hiding it, allowing you to channel it into pursuits that align with your authentic self. Think of some of the greatest artists, writers,